Today's Cleveland Browns report is made possible thanks to our friends over at Hexclad. Improve your dishware game and also get 10% off when you go to hexclad.com/chatsports. We'll tell you more about their awesome deals later on in today's show. But the Browns are back, baby. The Browns are so back. It is Victory Monday. Your Cleveland Browns are 2-1. And I can't wait to run through today's show. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson and how much he is back, this defense being elite, and it's not a top 2 defense because it's number 1. It's a top 1 defense, in my opinion. So a lot to catch up on, a lot to go over on today's show. If you haven't noticed, my voice is like 20% lost thanks to our watch party yesterday, but you know what? It's worth the win. But like I said, 27-23 over the Tennessee Titans on Sunday from Cleveland. And I didn't realize it in the moment, but it's been pointed out to me since then. 27-3, 24-point victory for Cleveland, 24 for Nick Chubb. That is just some poetic sports stuff right there. You could not script it any better. But what do you guys have to say after this game? What is your one-word reaction after the Browns win? Because I'm not going to lie, pulse of the fan base after Monday night against Steelers could not have been any lower. But fast forward 7 days later, 5 days later, 6 days later, and it could not be any higher right now. So let me know, what is your one-word reaction after the Browns win? For me, I'm going to go exhale, like a big sigh of relief. Okay, you won at home against a team you were supposed to beat, and you did it in style, right? You looked like Ohio State playing Youngstown State, but they're not messing around with them in the first half. They're taking care of business, and McCord's going to Harrison early and often, and the Buckeyes are winning by 60. Like, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. The offense is coming along, the defense is still elite, and it looks like it's only getting better. At least that's what all of the players are saying. So with that, usually Mondays are reserved for Overreaction Monday, but I'm going to add a new twist to it. It's not Overreaction Monday. It is not Overreactions. Week 3, not overreactions. Deshaun Watson, is he back? You betcha, baby. This is not an overreaction, in my opinion. I think Deshaun Watson is back. I think the Browns are getting their first real taste of what is going to come over the next 14, 15 games for this team because Watson's back. I mean, you look at what he did in Week 3 against Tennessee, 27 for 33. Just stop right there for a moment. The guy completed over 80% of his passes. It was the second highest completion per total of his NFL career, the highest as a Cleveland Brown, 289 yards. He should have had about 340 or so because they screwed him of a Nick Chubb touchdown, an Amari Cooper touchdown, and that would have given him a third touchdown as well, and 0 interceptions. But I want to go back to a graphic we showed a few days ago. And that is Deshaun Watson historically has gotten off to slow starts, right? This was going into Sunday's game against the Titans, and you can see in his career, weeks 1 through 4, night and day difference compared to what he does in weeks 5 through 8. It looks like we fast forwarded to weeks 5 through 8 a little bit on the Sooner side because the guy is ramping things up. Now, I know a lot of people were quick to hop in my Twitter mentions, specifically Bengals fans, and say, oh, you beat the Titans. No big deal. Call me when it's a legit team, like you guys in week 1, 24-3, but you don't want to bring that up. But I'm not brushing off his performance on Sunday because it came against Tennessee. I think at the end of the season, you guys are going to see, I might be cold takes exposed for this one. The Titans are a good ball club. The Titans are a very physical, well-coached team, and they're never going to be an easy out. But the Browns made them an easy out. I mean, that was 3 up, 3 down for Cleveland's defense against Ryan Tannehill and this offense. And then for the Browns offense against Harold Landry in that defense, I mean, they had nothing going defensively, right? They were committing penalties and blatant penalties because if they didn't, there would have been a lot more points on the board probably. The ground game was a work in progress, but the air raid took over, right? Every other star stepped up in Nick Chubb's absence. Amari Cooper, best game with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, best game as a Cleveland Brown. The offensive line looked much better in week 3 compared to the first 2 weeks of the season. So no, I'm not going to brush this off because it came against the Titans. The Titans are not a bad team. The Titans took care of business at home against the Chargers last week, a playoff team. So no, I'm not going to subscribe to that train of thought. Now the Browns' upcoming schedule, got some easy and got some tough games in it, right? You have the Ravens coming to town next Sunday. That's going to be a very difficult test, but we just saw Ravens lose at home against the Gardner Minshew-led Indianapolis Colts. To me, I think that could be a win on the schedule. Week 5, you get a bye, and probably a good time for a bye to try and just overall huddle up and refocus and make a new game plan for what you want to do offensively without Nick Chubb moving forward. Week 6, you have the 49ers at home, so 3 straight home games, 4 straight weeks of being at home, which is a big sigh of relief. And then you go on the road to Indianapolis and Seattle in week 7 and 8, which they don't look like world beaters at this moment. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's show, guys, it is time to talk about your kitchen. And no, not your roommate's dishes in your sink. Today's sponsor, Hexclad, has revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you somehow find a way to destroy them. So go to hexclad.com/chatsports for 10% off. Hexclad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. Now, you don't have to just take my word for it. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay, you might have heard of them. He uses them at home too, saying, the sear I get with these pans is incredible, with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using Hexclad at home. Now, I can't vouch as to whether or not he throws them across the kitchen from the red kitchen to the blue kitchen, but I can vouch that they are the sexiest pans on the market. So you can also score some points at home. It's time to stop ordering delivery food and start cooking like a big boy with Hexclad. Real cuisine is not made in the microwave. It's cooked in a Hexclad. So for a limited time, you can get 10% off with our special link, hexclad.com/chatsports. That's 10% off at hexclad.com/chatsports. My second overreaction, not the offense. Is it getting into a rhythm? Yeah, you betcha it is. This offense is starting to get into a bit of a groove, and I know people have pointed out all it took was a Nick Chubb injury to get the offense going, but no, that is not the reason why this offense finally rose to the occasion. For me, it was Deshaun Watson getting on the same time schedule and getting on the same pattern and getting a chemistry going with his main wide receivers. Amari Cooper, 7 grabs, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Donovan Peoples-Jones came to play, right? 3 grabs for 49 yards, but it felt like every single reception was a clutch third down, move the chains type of reception right on the sideline. And then Elijah Moore was basically force-fed the football. Kevin Stefanski got creative. He wanted to get the ball in space and let his speed take over. He had 9 receptions for 49 yards. He's got to stay in the weight room a little longer. That fumble was pretty emasculating. The Titans were able to just pry that away from him. But outside of that, Deshaun Watson and his top 3 guys, they look to be in sync. They look to be on the same page. And sure, it took a little bit longer than we would have liked, and that might have cost the Browns a game in week 2, and that's not acceptable. But you'd rather have it happen now rather than in 3 to 4 weeks. Because Watson, it was on time, he was accurate, and then he also showed the ability to make those tight window throws on the sideline on 3rd and 13 with Amari Cooper pressed in between his man and the white chalk, and somehow Watson was able to fit it into a very narrow window where only Cooper could get the ball, or DPJ or Elijah Moore, keep the drive alive and keep the chains moving. Yes, Deshaun Watson extends plays. He takes some hits. He has boneheaded plays when he threw the ball backwards to Elijah Moore that need to be removed from his game. But it's only week 3. Like, I'm not going to panic about those kind of things in week 3. Those kinds of things are going to work themselves out over the course of a season. And for every time he takes a hit because he extends a play, sure, you have a little bit of frustration. But also, how many times is he literally slipping out of sacks against some of the best edge rushers in the game and then finding an open man downfield? Like, we saw some of that through the first couple of games as a Cleveland Brown, but the issue was he was slipping out of sacks and then not throwing the ball accurately, right? Or not putting it right on the money. Now he's getting both things down, right? Now he is extending plays, evading pressure, and then he's linking up with Amari Cooper 20 yards down the line of scrimmage. So, Deshaun Watson, he was on time, he was accurate, and he's back, baby. Now, as for the rushing department, it was not great. Let's just call it what it is, right? Jerome Ford averaged 1.8 yards a carry. Pierre Strong was the next best running back, or you could say the best running back, just going off the numbers, but he played in kind of garbage time duty anyway. 6 carries for 27 yards. Kareem Hunt, I have never seen a crowd give a standing ovation more for a 2-yard run in the middle of the field, but Kareem Hunt got that. He finished with 5 carries for 13 yards. Deshaun Watson, I'm not a huge fan of Stefanski calling a quarterback run or design run after he just took a big hit, but he had 4 carries for 16 yards. Elijah Moore, they tried to get him involved. Ultimately, just didn't really work out. Harrison Bryant was taking QB sneaks at one point. Marquise Goodwin got a touch as well. I mean, the Browns had 7 different ball carries. So clearly, it is going to take time to rebuild the run game without Nick Chubb. Kevin Stefanski, I'll give him credit. He's not a perfect play caller, but I do respect the amount of creativity and the effort that was put into trying to piece together a new ground game, right? They wanted to get a lot of different people, a lot of touches, and spread the ball around and see what works and what doesn't work, right? Right now, I think the Browns offensively in the run department are just kind of poking holes at the defense, and they want to find the soft spots, right? And they also want to learn about ourselves, what is working and what's not working. Luckily, they got that early bye to really try and nail down a game plan offensively, but this is going to take time. There is going to be growing pains. You do not replace Nick Chubb 1 week later. You just don't do that. It's impossible because he's that gifted of a rusher. It's going to take some time, but the good news for the Browns is they have an early bye, and that's a good opportunity to try and put together a new game plan on the ground for Kevin Stefanski. Now, before we get on to the rest of my not overreactions, we did reach 24,000 subscribers during the watch party, and it's a pretty awesome number to hit right after losing Nick Chubb. What's also an awesome thing here as I get into my feels and get a little sappy with you guys is I'm filming today's Browns Report, not just in a brand new studio here at Chat Sports, but in a whole new office, a whole new room, an entire new wing, if you will. And it's crazy to see how much this company has grown. I've been here for 2 years, and this company has gone, to the moon, like Doge style, essentially. And that's all thanks to you. I mean, we would not be where we are right now without our subscribers. So thank you all for subscribing. And if you haven't, you know what I'm going to say. Hit the sub button. Next, not overreaction. The defense is a top 3, yes, and it ain't 3, and it ain't 2. This Cleveland Browns defense has a legitimate case to come out of week 3 as the number 1 defense in the NFL. Why? Because statistically, they are the number 1 defense in the NFL. Look at the defensive leaders. Total yards allowed, first. The Browns have played 3 games. There are teams who have only played 2 games, and they have given up more yardage. Think about that. The Browns have gone out for an extra 4 quarters, an extra 60 minutes, and a defense like the Philadelphia Eagles, which was fantastic last season, has still surrendered more yards in a full less game. Passing yards, they're second. That's going to change after Monday Night Football because they are just behind the Eagles, the Bucs, or someone. Rushing yards, they're second. That's also going to change after Monday Night Football. When Monday Night Football ends and those 2 games are done in Tampa Bay and Cincinnati, the Cleveland Browns are going to have the number 1 defense in total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, and only 18 points allowed. And what's maybe the most impressive stat of all, 19.5 completion percentage on 3rd down, or conversion, whatever you want to call it. 19.5. Not even 1 in every 5 attempts are teams converting on 3rd down against this Browns defense. But just 18 points allowed, it's scary. It is scary good. What's also scary is that Joe Woods was allowed to coach this defense last year. Look at the Browns defense last season through the first 3 weeks compared to what Jim Schwartz has done through the first 3 weeks. Total yards, cut in half pretty much. Passing yards, cut into a third. Rushing yards. This was the biggest Achilles heel for this defense last year. 251 rushing yards allowed through the first 3 weeks last year. That's down nearly 100 full yards. They played Derrick Henry yesterday and held him to 20 yards. Sure, having Dalvin Tomlinson and Zadarius Smith help, no doubt about it. But having Jim Schwartz on the sideline, that's the biggest addition of them all. 18 points compared to 85 in the first 3 weeks over the last 2 seasons. My only fear at this point is we might need to tone down all of the Jim Schwartz is a god talk because he could be a head coach somewhere else next year at this rate. I know defensive coaches aren't the most popular at the moment for head coaching vacancies, but if Jim Schwartz's defense continues to allow 6 points a game, he's probably going to get a head coaching gig next year at this rate. So what I want to do is a little secret ops mission, right? COVID ops mission here. Every good compliment we say about Jim Schwartz, we just got to throw teams off our scent. So we got to throw a subtle jab at Jim Schwartz. That way no one hires him next year. That's going to be our little secret. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. If you see someone talking pretty nice about Jim Schwartz and their team needs a new head coach, just hop on Twitter and reply and yeah, but I heard he has bad breath. Just something like that. That way no one thinks to hire him and we can keep him in Cleveland for another season. Sorry, Jimmy. Now, Myles Garrett, the guy is on pace for 25 sacks. Having 3.5 sacks, which I think is Cleveland Browns single game record last game against the Titans, has put him at 4.5 sacks on the season, 8 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble to go along with it. 95 looks like he is playing his absolute best ball yet. And having Jim Schwartz, that's no coincidence. So with this being said, the Browns defense, in your opinion, it is the top blank defense in the NFL. I think it's the number 1 defense in the NFL. The only thing that's kind of lagging behind a little bit is the turnovers. But in the Browns defense, they can't really force turnovers all that much if they're constantly getting off the field, right? All they do is they go out there, they play first down, and it's first down, and then it's 2nd and 11. Second down, it's 3rd and 9. And then it's 4th and 9, and they punt. If the Browns were on the field more, sure, maybe they could force a turnover, but you can't blame them if all they do is force 3 and outs and get off the field. So I think the Browns have the number 1 defense in the NFL at this current moment. Before we get on out of here, I want to show some love to our Super Chat MVP from our Week 3 watch party, Sub-Zero. I didn't know Sub-Zero. What game is this? Mortal Kombat. Yeah, producer Tex is like, oh, that's Sub-Zero. I'm like, how did you know that was Sub-Zero? So I don't know if that makes me super old, but Sub-Zero, shout out to you for being our Super Chat MVP on Sunday. And then we also had a super thanks come in from Tom Reynolds. This one came in shortly after the Monday night loss, and it kind of got lost in the comment section. But I wanted to give Tom a super big shout out here because he says 24-24. Wanted to send over a quick thank you for the channel. There's a bit more effort and dedication that goes unrealized when it comes to making these so consistently. After a night like tonight, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Best wishes to Chubb. Best wishes to the Browns' future. And long live the Browns Report. Let's go. Tom, that warmed my heart up. Thank you so much, man. Go Brownies indeed. And I can't wait to see Nick Chubb suit up in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's show. I'm only half joking about that Super Bowl part. Would anyone be surprised if Chubb was ready to go on the second Sunday in February? Not me.